next disappointment. The ultimate wrecking ball in our marriage was Zoe's enrollment.
Yeah.
Walk me through your head.
Okay, so the background of the story is, so Zoe was going to grade R the next year, right? So we looked at the different schools, and then government, well, we were like, nah, we don't want to take you to a government school, which next thing is private school then. And then again, money was a thing with this as well, because then when we looked at the schools, we were like, hey, we can't afford anything. Even with the school where she eventually ended up going, when we looked at it, we were like, we won't be able to afford that school and Zion going to the other school as well. So we just need money, right? And us getting money, we need to have faith in God, right? Then there was this school that we both loved, but it was like super expensive. Like I would have to sell one of my kidneys for the school.
It wasn't that bad. Wow.
It was expensive, that school.
No, it wasn't. It was.
But
like
we couldn't
6K
afford
man.
it. We couldn't afford it
Yes.
ourselves, right?
Yes.
With everything that was happening. So then we were like, okay, we'll just need to faith it and just trust God for the money and everything. But with that as well, we just now, let me say me, because I was the one that said, let's go
Thank
with
you.
faith and everything.
Yes.
So it went and went. So same thing as the birthday thing, I would say, until last minute, right? And last minute is like Jan or something. Yeah, it's like Jan, because December schools were closed anyway. We couldn't do anything. So come January, schools are about to open. We don't have money for that school. So we applied. We did everything. Both kids, because we wanted to take both of them there. So they were both accepted at the school. Now the main thing we need to
the
pay.
enrollment fee.
Yes, the main thing we just need to pay
The fee.
is now the school fees, but we don't have money for it. And now it's last minute, so we're like, okay, now we need to look for other schools. The government school, that was an option. Obviously, they had closed their things like the year before, so there was a no-go thing. And then Zion was like, okay, you can go back to where he was at the preschool, because he's still in preschool, so he was fine. And then Zoe, the next option was now where we eventually took her. So I called, and then they said they have space, but then it took, I think, 3 to 4 days for the whole application thing to be processed proper. So she ended up going later, like a few days later than after the schools had opened.
The following week.
Yeah, a week later. So with that, yeah, the main thing also there was just communication and the timing.
Communication in what sense?
But being real, to say, okay, we said, maybe let's say, like also putting like a timeline to everything. Like the time when we were talking, to say, okay, we want to go for this school, but then let's say in September, October, there's no money for this thing, then we need to go for other options, right? So there was not that for me to say, okay, I was just like, hey, okay, let's just trust God for the money. I didn't say, okay, let's trust God for the money, but then, okay, if nothing is happening, let's do this then instead.
So, I mean, from my side, I think if I play it out from how I saw it, yes, obviously applying and having the faith for them to go to this specific school, right? The faith was there, but as the time came closer, like, you know, like the end of the year of 2019, I kept saying, okay, so what are we gonna do with the kids' school? And like it was a weekly ask, like I kept asking you, and your response like, oh no, I'm trusting God, you know, and which is okay to trust God and have faith, but for me, somewhat that gave me like anxiety, because this is like Zoe's future that we are talking about, right? And I kept asking, okay, so what is plan B? What are we gonna do? And you kept responding with the same, I'm trusting God. And sometimes you would even like laugh about it, you know, oh, we'll get money, ha 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 ha. And for me, I would take it, I would just like okay, but my okay was just like, okay, like she's gonna hit the fan here, and I'm just I'm in me saying okay, I'm submitting to you, but at the same time I'm just like, I don't see this ending well. And when actually it hit the fan, I was just like, I saw this coming, and I was just like, but like this could have been avoided. You know, I kept asking and asking and asking, and the whole faith thing happened. And for me, it also made me feel like, okay, maybe I'm a Christian that has less faith because, oh, no, sin faith, you know. But also with faith, there has to come irresponsibility, and just like let's be real, you know. And yes, God is a God who can do the impossible, you know. And I think we've seen it like throughout our marriage in terms of finances, the first few years of our marriage. He's the God of the impossible, but in that also I think he wants us to exercise wisdom. He wants us to be wise in just how we do things, like okay. And also for me, because of the whole self-sufficiency thing, I was just like, okay, am I wanting to have a plan B because of my self-sufficiency, my self-control, me being in control, me wanting, you know, like everything to be in order, me having a plan B, or me making a contingency plan. Was it me being in control? So there was that tension, and I was just like, okay, I don't know what to do here. But when how everything ensued happened, like how everything happened, I was upset, and also that spoke to security for me. Like I was just like, okay, this could be us having like the last day if we were like evicted, and you are saying there's faith. This could have been us on the streets, if it wasn't a school fee. Let's say if it was not school fees, let's say it was an eviction notice. This could have been us on the street, all in the name of faith. And I mean, I liked what Pastor Simon had said when we met with them, where he's like, we need to have timelines in our goals, in our set goals and faith goals, especially if it's like big important things such as Zoe's school and stuff. So for me, that was like and like, nah, I don't know what's happening here, and I'm just like, and this is why I felt like you're not leading the home as you should be leading the home. You're not heading up, you're not fulfilling your role properly. And for me, I don't even think yes, finances play a role, but not entirely, if that makes sense, because there could have been other options. As much as we're like, one private school, there were other options.
I think, yeah. So I think, because for me it was, I think the main thing, especially with the two things, is I think this is what happens when one is not in community, right? If you are just by yourself, you think things by yourself, and in your head you see them working, and then you go for it, right? Because obviously if I had someone to talk to, they would have properly advised me, right? To say, no, here, maybe try this, here, do this and that. But because I was just this one-man island person,
Tristan Takun.
Because I was that island,
yes,
I would think things, and then in my head, okay, let's do that, right?
And can you see why I wanted you to be in community so much?
Yeah, no, I do.
Because wow, bruh, wow, like you have put me through the most because of your isolation life.
I guess I learned the hard way with that. But I think the one thing also that sort of pumped me up more is, because I actually went also, because this was some time back, I don't know if you remember, but I went to get application forms for one of the schools, one of the government schools. And then I think I told you when I was on my way there, Yeah, because someone told me that, oh, the applications are closing tomorrow. Then, so like, oh, okay, let me go get them. Then I called you and saying, oh, I'm on my way to this school to get the forms. And then you're like, how? But why are you getting the forms? I thought we had said we were going to go for the private school, right? So I guess in my head, you saying that, then that just pumped me up more. Like, oh, okay, I forget about this school. We are in this thing together. It's this school, no matter what, kind of thing. But again, it's just a community thing, I would say, that I was just a one person thinking things by myself and just going, And also at that time, I was watching the Crazy Faith thing from Transformation, which just pumped me up way more as well, But also with that, I'm watching it by myself, I'm thinking things like, oh yeah, I have to do this like this. I'm not even talking to you about this as well. I would watch every day a different sermon about it, and every day I'm just pumped up. Like, yeah, this is even Crazy Faith because you are trusting God for like crazy amounts of money,
And this is how you used to love responding to when are we getting a school.
I was just pumped up, I guess. I don't know. I can call it foolish faith maybe and stuff.
Quite.
But
you're like crazy faith.
But I guess looking back, the main thing, it's just community. Because like even with you, I was not even talking to you about what was going on.
And I'm your wife.
That's why I said like communication was bad, and the community thing also, I was just bad in that. Because if I talked at least to you or to I need to have someone at me, right, to talk to. They would have said, I'm not sure this thing is working, or try this or do this. But I was just by myself, which now I know that I can't wake up now and say, okay, I saw a house, let's just put a notice and say we are moving out of here, let's go get the house. I can't do that now because I have learned my lesson. Because the thing also with, I guess, every day we learn lessons, right? And these two things were like the hectic ones that almost put our marriage to an end, right? And just put us apart.
Yes.
Because of my ways then, because it's now I'm learning and I'm trying to change my ways because it was
they were toxic.
It was not the one.
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, for me, so I think I can ask you this with now.
Your eyebrow.
So you though with that, have you forgiven me for those things, or are you still working on the forgiveness of? Because I know, especially with last year, forgiveness was a thing also with you because you couldn't forgive me.
Oh my gosh! Forgive what?
The stuff that I did
for him.
What do you mean for him? You have to forgive, Anit.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was not easy. Not like I think it was a culmination of like so many things for me to just like, oh no, I forgive you. I've been like, I think I've been put through the fire for the longest, and then like I think last year was just like, and like hey, like I've been like I've just been.
No, I'm not talking about last year. I'm asking now.
No, I'm just talking. Now. No, but I think you're saying good. I wasn't forgiving you last year, so yes. I'm just like, forgiveness was tough. Like, yeah. But have I forgiven you about my 30th? I have. I had to forgive you for my peace and for my freedom.
Yeah.
That I think that's what forgiveness is, to have peace. I needed to have peace. I needed to let go of it because I think I was also a victim of my pain, of like, oh my gosh, I didn't have a 30th, and that made me bitter. That caused like a lot of resentment,
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I've forgiven you. I have and because it's a wound and because there will be triggers,
Yeah.
and there will be times where I talk about my 30th. It doesn't mean that I have not forgiven you. It doesn't mean that I always have to go back to the things that happened in the past. Like you've said before, while last year when I spoke about some things from the past, you're just like, you feel like we're always going in circles. I'm not saying that, oh no, you did not do it. I'm just like, ish, just this thing, like similar to the wound that I have from my operation in 26. It's a scar.
It's there, you can see it.
It's you can see it.
When you see it,
and
you
when
remember.
you ask me about it,
Yes.
I can tell you that, oh, this happened in 2006 from netball.
Yes.
That's the same way you should view when I talk about my 30th. If someone like Leray, last year she had her 30th, and that was like, shucks, man, I didn't get to celebrate my 30th like I would have loved to celebrate it. But doesn't mean that I haven't forgiven you for it. Obviously I won't forget about it, because it's that scar that I can see every time.
No, I guess for me at that, it's not about not talking, but it's about how. If for me you talk with the hurt still in there, like you were hurt 2 years ago about it. That's for me. That's how then when it feels like, okay, it feels like you haven't really forgiven me or moved on from it, because it still feels like, well, this one, like now obviously it's very different. Like when you're talking now about your 30th and the school thing, it's very different to how it was when we were talking about it back then. Now I can tell that, okay, you have moved a bit from that or moved away from that. There's some healing that has happened with that, because at that time you wouldn't have been talking like this about it, or you didn't talk about this about it like this back then.
I would have stabbed you with my eyes. I was stabbing you with my eyes.
With your eyes? How do you stab people with your eyes now?
The school thing, that too. I think I have forgiven you, but let's see how we handle Zionism. As in, if we have learned from that experience, that means the experience Zionism would be totally different from how we
school?
just enrollment and everything.
Okay.
Just how we handle it, and I guess if you have to pull a crazy faith thing on me again, I'm gonna push back this time. I'm not gonna be okay. I'm submitting. Nah, fam.
No, I guess right now we know how to do it anyway, because we talked to mentors about it and they advised us. Because obviously, if I do that, obviously, like the one thing that we should have done also in that was we were supposed to still apply to the other schools, not just do that and leave it like that, right? So obviously now for me, I would say, as much as if you are trusting God for something, it's not to have a plan B, but to just be realistic with everything, so that our world doesn't now just come crashing down, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, but I this is true. And I hear you, but also I'm just saying, like, in me, I'm leaving my room, like, what did you say the other day? Your room for disappointment. Isn't like, because you're human after all, so you might come here and be listening to sermons and come here and pull through with your crazy faith again.
No,
This is me saying I'm gonna push back this time. As in, yes, you've learned how you've learned through the lesson and the experience. I've also learned how to handle it and how to deal with your crazy faith as well.
Well, no, I'm not gonna come like that anyway. I'm not gonna come to you like that.
Crazy faith.
Yeah, obviously now when he does that, it's not just gonna be me watching the sermon and then coming to you and say, let's do this. Now there's people, there's community that like we need to go to. Even like us as a couple, I think we need to just work more on having community for both of us, not just individually, but connect more. Find people that we are connecting more with together as a couple as well.
Yeah, that was hard for it to happen because you never wanted to be in community anyway.
But we spoke about it. We've had people that we talked about, which were your friends, and then with the guys, you're like, no, I don't want you to be friends with that guy. Right?
Yeah.
So I guess it's just something like now we need to work on it more. So for me, I'm just saying, yeah, obviously it's hard for me to connect with people, right? But we've had a conversation about this. And also from your side, there were people who were like, no, I don't want you to be friends with that guy. I don't want you to be friends with this person as well.
Yeah, but that's just like 1, 2, 3. You can count them with one hand.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even from my side, yes, I know I struggle to connect with people. I'm not saying, it's you. I tried my best. I gave you people and you said no. From my side, it's a struggle, but it's something we've talked about. It's not like it's been a struggle and then we never really talked about it.
Yeah, I guess even when we spoke about it that time, we would have spoken about it, but I don't think there was going to be any action towards it. If you go back to the Bible, and this is what I have said to you when I was busy fighting with you here, I was just like, faith without works is dead. Like, we can have these conversations, pillow talk with, oh my gosh, we must be friends with this person and this person, we must have peer what. But if it's not gonna be actioned, then like it's
that's
nothing
where the
else.
intentionality comes in.
Yeah, and there was no intentionality post the conversations anyway, like back then. So I'm not bashing or anything, but I'm just saying, okay, I look forward to now being actually intentional in finding peer couples, that we'd have conversations with. Yeah, crackables. So yeah, hi guys. So this was us having a conversation about some of the disappointments. Mainly the main disappointments. There were other like smaller ones, but these were like major ones that we spoke about. I hope it was worth the listen, and let's do better as couples. Let's do better
as human beings.
As human beings, let's be in community. Community is so important. Being in community helps you to be accountable and to see your shadows and blind spots. Being in community helps you see all those things. And listen, we are not there yet, but I'm so grateful that he has in revelation. The scales of his eyes have been peeled, and it can only get better from here. So thank you.
But you're gonna share a verse.
So here's one thing that I learned in this gruesome journey, is always be humble and gentle, be patient with one another, making allowance for each other's faults because of your love. Make every effort to keep yourselves united in the spirit, binding yourselves together with peace. And I think this is very important just for people who are working on forgiveness, is that we need to allow each other's faults. We need to make room for each other's faults. We need to take each other off pedestals and stop idolizing each other, especially those in authority or in leadership, or in influence, like your influencers. These people are human and are going to be flawed. Just like you and me, we are all flawed, and we need to make room for each other's faults.
Yeah, that's it.
And maybe this is why I forgave you, because of this Bible scripture.
If it was not there, it was over for me. Yes, so I think the main thing is just allowing like that space for people, like just accepting that people are not perfect, and obviously as we expect better, especially from like a leader or as a husband myself, you will expect better from me right? You'll have like this thing, okay, I expect you to do this and this and this. But as a human being, I'm gonna fail on some of those things as well. And obviously in you hurting, it doesn't, like making room for stuff, it doesn't mean you must not hurt and go through that, right? But in you, I guess, hurting, how to come back and how to heal, part of the process is to just say, yeah, okay, this person, he's a human being just like me. He's gonna make faults and he's gonna do a whole lot of mistakes just like me as well. So I think that's just the main thing of how to view people and even just how we do life in general with human beings.
So I think also now, I mean, this it's something that we can talk about in another like video and stuff, but the expectations thing, because they are expectations, communicated expectations, where I feel like one can be frustrated with, like unmet communicated expectations are worthy of one's frustrations. But if you have not communicated your expectations to your significant other or your friend or whoever you're like in your sphere, then I don't think one has the right to be frustrated. You can't be frustrated with uncommunicated expectations. But this will be for another video and we'll share more on it. But yeah, that is us for now. This was long, but we love you.